السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Inshallah, before I begin today's khatira, the secret word for the Fajr Squad program today, Tuesday, March 18th, the secret word is Ibrahim. Ibrahim. Inshallah, the sunnah for today, my dear brothers and sisters, is the sunnah of when performing wudu to wash beyond the elbows and the ankles. To wash beyond the elbows and the ankles. It is related in Sahih Muslim that Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu توضأ فغسل يده حتى أشرع في العضد ورجله حتى أشرع في الساق ثم قال هكذا رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ. That Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu performed wudu in front of his students, and while he was performing wudu, he washed his arms until he got to his upper arm, yani beyond his elbow unto his biceps and triceps. And he washed his feet until he got to his saq, his shin, above the ankle to his shin. And then he said, this is how I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam performing wudu. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told the Sahaba, he told us that on the Day of Judgment, he will wait for his followers at the pond of Al-Kawthar, at the Hawd. That's where he will be expecting to see us. And he will be looking for us through the crowds. And he will call us to him. Whenever he spots one of his followers, he would call them to himself to the pond of Al-Kawthar. And so the companions, they asked him, Ya Rasulullah, how are you going to recognize your followers in the midst of such a large crowd? And he said, I will recognize them by the traces of wudu on their faces and on their arms. Because my followers will come on that day, غُرًّا مُحَجَّلِينَ. My followers will come on that day with their faces shining and with their arms and legs shining from the traces of wudu. Whenever we make wudu, my dear brothers and sisters, it is leaving a permanent mark on our bodies. But it is a spiritual mark that doesn't become evident physically in this physical world. It will become evident in that world. And that is the mark of wudu on our heads, our arms, and our feet. And so Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said that, why don't you extend these marks? Because what is required in wudu is to wash up to the elbows, including the elbows. And to wash up to the ankles, including the ankles. And to wash the face up to the hairline and the edge of the ears and the chin. So Abu Hurairah said that if these parts are going to shine on the Day of Judgment, then I personally would like to extend the shining parts of my body. And so whenever he would wash his face, he goes beyond the edges of the face. He washes a little bit of the hair, a little bit of the ears, a little bit below the chin. When he washes his arms, he goes up above the elbows. According to some sound ahadith, by the way, he would go all the way up to the armpits. Abu Hurairah, it's well established about him. He would go up until the armpits. because he wants his entire upper arm, the biceps, the triceps, to have that mark. And he would wash up to his knees, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, because he wants to extend that. Now that's not the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's the sunnah of Abu Hurairah. But definitely the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as Abu Hurairah himself states here, is to go beyond, a little bit beyond the elbows and a little bit beyond the ankles, so that we make sure that we have washed the bare minimum by going a little bit past that bare minimum. You understand? In order to ensure that we have washed the bare minimum, we go past the bare minimum. One time the Prophet ﷺ said to the companions, وَيْلٌ لِلْأَعْقَابِ مِنَ النَّارِ, woe to the ankles from the fire of hell. Because he saw some of the companions, they had not washed their feet properly, and their ankles were left dry. Their ankles had dry spots on them. So he made that remark to warn them that they need to make sure that their ankles are also washed. Now the problem is, even though we have plenty of water, unlike the companions who had scarcity of water, we have plenty of water such that we waste so much of it. But the problem is that we wash our feet in our sinks. And the way water faucets are designed, many times if we don't pay attention, we don't wash our ankles properly. We need to make sure that when we are washing our feet, that we are washing the entire foot, including the ankles. And the sunnah is to go beyond the ankles, to go up a little bit, above the ankles. And the same thing with the arms. We need to make sure that we're washing all the way up to the elbows, and then the sunnah is to go past the elbows, up a little bit to our upper arms, as we saw from the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who meet Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam at the Hawd of Al-Kawthar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a drink from that pool through His blessed hands, a drink after which we will never feel thirsty again. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.